I'm Nate, and I'm going to give you a hands-on demonstration of how our new grass banks pieces work. This family opens up a bunch of fun building possibilities, from sprucing up your village to creating rivers or roads using negative space. Let's dive in and take a look at how it all works. All right, first let's look at this piece family. Important to note that these are all prototypes made in-house, so they are resin. The finals will be made in dark gray dwarvenite with anchor magnet. Anchor magnets will be centered like that. So the factory pieces will be a little more straight. These are handmade prototypes. The other universal note is the sides of all these pieces have the exact same profile as our other wilderness banks. So they will line up with our forest banks and our swamp banks. The color scheme is different, is they have their own identity. If you get unpainted, of course, you can make them all match. And the other important bit is we are working on a base 4-inch here rather than a base 6-inch scale. So the rest of the wilderness pieces were on a base 6-inch because we were trying to get to 12 inches. These are on a base 4 inches, so they play really nicely with the city buildings, which have 4x4 floors. But of course, 2 inches plus 4 inches will get you 6 inches also. So first piece in the lineup here is the short straight bank. So it is 2 inches long. It's about 1.5 inches deep. It's the same bank profile is about 1.5 inches. So there's a little bit of extra space on the full 2-inch footprint for some negative space over there. And as mentioned, it'll have an anchor magnet in the middle. It's mostly green with these sort of the warm edges. All these pieces have kind of extra warm, brighter green on the edge to highlight the kind of the curve and the slope, as well as dotted with the occasional stone and some little yellow flowers. Next piece in the lineup is the straight bank. So this is 4 inches long, same profile as everything. I'll have anchor magnet in the bottom, same paint scheme. And this one has a pole accessory hole in here. So a couple of the larger pieces have pole accessory holes, so they become a great spot to pop in pole accessories like the little yellow flower pole accessory or a signpost or a set on a pike, whatever you want, however you want to decorate up your banks. And also you can see on this one of the big challenges when sculpting these was Eli had to figure out how to hide the 1-inch grid in something that was trying to be pretty featureless, right? We're trying to be as much sort of just plain grass as we could, while also keeping it interesting. So he peppered in a couple of these little flowers for a 1-inch mark, this plant for a 1-inch mark, this stone for a 1-inch mark. So everything's delineated by just enough little bit of details to give you the 1-inch grid if you know what to look for. Next in the family, we have the short convex. So this is essentially a 2x2 footprint that's then cut off. It's only 1.5 inches long each side, so it's a little shy on that, but it lets you do a 90-degree turn, something like that. For a tight 90-degree turn. Same look and feel as the rest of the pieces of the family. And this is its larger, as in this is the full convex piece. So this is a 4x4 footprint, although it has a cutout here. So the intention is that you could use this, 2 of these fit around, or 4 of these will fit around a 4x4 floor. So that's why it has a 2x2 cutout. It gives you more building options. You can slide pieces right up to it. But you'll often pair it with the 2x2 floor, do something like that to fill it out if you want to just do a big solid run. And this one also has a pole accessory hole here, pop little pole accessories in. We have this short concave here. This is a 2x2 with just this one little concave. It lets you do a really tight 90-degree turn, something like that. Very useful for some advanced building. It has a pretty obvious grid in there, right? This flower is right in the center of the 2x2. It really helps you pick out the 1-inch squares. Then it's because in the full concave. So this is a 4x4 base, same profile, same look and feel. It's got the grid in there. And this one has 2 pole accessory holes. So there's one hidden over there and there's one hidden over here. So you can double decorate it. And then finally, the last 2 pieces in the banks lineup are the swells. So this is the swell left. The way you can tell is when you're looking at the pieces, whichever direction it swells up gets larger, and that's the swell. So this swells left, the other one swells right. And this lets you offset a build. If you're doing a long straight run, you can then use this to offset the run by 2 inches, right? It swells up to 2 inches. It also works great as in conjunction, the two of them give you an alternate straight. It's just something interesting. So this is the swell left. It has one pull accessory hole. And then this is the swell right. This one also has a pull accessory hole. And they both have different sort of organic profile and how they're swelling up. And then finally, not officially banks, but they are part of this whole family, are the floor pieces. So we have a 2x2 grass floor here, featureless and flat, so great for building on, and has the flowers, and then you get the 1-inch grid, and it's a full 2x2 footprint. We'll have an anchor magnet, and then there's the big version. This is the 4x4 grass floor, great for doing big lawns, green swards, and the like. Boom. All right, so let's see how all these pieces actually build. All right, so let's get these pieces in action. We're going to start with, we're going to use this prototype of our Mossy Cobbles terrain tray. Important to note, once again, these are prototypes and they don't have the magnets in them yet, so they will drift a little bit. They won't, when we have actual magnets in them, they'll stick right to the terrain tray and stay put. So let's say we wanted to make a raised area of grass on this terrain tray. We would take a 4x4. It looks pretty square and inorganic, so we use the banks. We just surround it with banks. So you can see like the fit on these prototypes isn't so great. We'll get a nice clean 90 degree when we have real finished ones there. So I used 2 of the large convexes there. We could do 4 convexes all the way around, but let's have a little variety. So we're going to use the short convexes, a couple of the short banks, and then large bank. Boom. So now we have a little raised area of grass that we could use as sort of to draw some attention to the thing. Or if we wanted to, if we didn't want this to just be grass, we could. This becomes a nice spot to, right? We could put like a little flower garden-y sort of situation up here, right? We can do something like that if we want to build a plan. Or we could use this as a way to transition to something like, let's say we want to put our cottage in here. We could take a Tudor cottage, put that in here. And now it feels like it's part of a scene, right? The banks are building up against it. It feels much more integrated than you can just build it flat on the ground, but there's something really nice about building it in, having it feel like it transitions a little more gradually from the ground. We could also do the same gag and pop. Could take cobblestones in there and make a great spot for fountain. A little central fountain in your park gives kind of a nice look. Another fun thing we can do, because we're building in line, is let's say we had our cottage in here. Slide it back. We could build in line. So we're taking out this guy. We could put like a little walkway. We could use the cobbles and make a little walkway and build in line, something like that. Sort of path leading up to our cottage. We could also extend the grass if we wanted. Let's pull these off. Let's take a couple of swells, put them on the other side. Take a little convex and do something like that. And then maybe we'll let's decorate it up. Use these pull accessory holes to put our fruit trees in, put paper surround. Now we have a real sort of quaint cottage look here. Just by using a few banks, right? It makes it a scene. It's not just a cottage now. It's like a little quaint cottage that becomes a scene. We could also swap out the terrain tray underneath to give it a whole different feel. Let's look at that. Let's talk about negative space. We'll fly this out. All right. So we're going to use that's the B side of that terrain tray. This is a prototype of our quaint pond terrain tray with our water texture mat on top of it. So we're going to reverse this thing. So with negative space, the idea is you're using sculpted ground, and then wherever you don't have the sculpt is the negative space, and what that exposes becomes a neat texture. So in this case, we're going to use the pond. So at a very base level, if we wanted to, we could just take our straight banks and our concaves, blend. straight under, boom, we have a little pond. It's not super organic, right? Because we're using all the exact same pieces. So if we wanted to give it a little variety, maybe we'll knock that out. We could use the short concave, and then we'll stagger the banks a little bit. I'm putting a short bank here, short bank there. Sounds a little more irregular. And let's go even further. We'll do let's take a couple of the swells. We'll take one here, one here. Let's see, that doesn't line up, right? So we're going to slide it back. Still doesn't line up. We'll go more. All right, that's going to line up really nice. We're going to get a little concave in there. Boop. And then just the rest of these. Boom. And once again, we got to get the magnets in these. Everything will stay put. So, right. So you can kind of carve out whatever space you want to shape your body of water. Just keep adjusting your banks till you get that. You can also use them to create little islands. Like, right, we could take 4 of the little convexes here, make a little island in the middle of the lily pads. You could extend it. I mean, right, this is just sort of a miniature version of what we were doing with the cottage before. If you had a bigger body of water, you could then build a bigger island in the middle of it. Right, so then whatever you want to expose. So let's say we didn't want to do a body of water. Body of water is one of the best things. Like, banks are so good for doing any sort of liquid. But also we can do roads. So there's 2 ways to do this. We have our new dirt road train trays, and these things work wonderfully well by themselves, but you can enhance them with the banks. You could also just free build on any of our dirt. This is the packed dirt this is slum dirt from Lowtown. We have the packed dirt from Lowtown. We have packed earth. So any of that, you can use the same sort of technique of just exposing whatever part you want to free build. Or in this case, we're going to use this prototype one of the dirt road and show you how you can use these ones to make some really nice looking roads. So we created these designs to line up with the banks. So you just basically cover the green areas with your banks. Boom. Let's get another one. Boom. So such a lane here. Boom. And then you backfill the rest with floors, something like this. And once again, I can't wait for magnets. This stuff's drifting around, but you get the idea. Oh, I got to steal some floors from the other build. All right. So now we've given some dimensionality to this road. We're just exposing the dirt. We're covering the greenery mostly. And we have some nice dimensionality here. You can kind of see where it drops in. It feels like a more realistic scene. And we've got these pole accessory holes that we can use now, right? So we could pop a little sign there that maybe we put a danger decal on it or something. And we can dress up with some plants if we want around the sides. The other neat thing we can do, because this is this negative space and it's not constrained by anything other than how big it is underneath, we can slide this close. If we push everything forward 1 inch, now we can make our road into kind of a wide path. So like that, or we could go up 2 if we want and make it just a really narrow trail, right? This is just a little 5-foot trail. It feels a little more mysterious. Backfill these. So like that. So you can kind of expand or contract your road depending on what you want it to feel like. And you can do the exact same technique, right? If we were using let's say we were using this dirt train tray, you can use the exact same technique here. And because this has no greenery here, you can really free build whatever the heck shape you want. So we're going to take this exact same build, transplanting it over. All right, so we've got that exact same build. And now we have the ability, we can accordion this out like as wide as we want, right? This could be like a super wide imperial road where 2 carriages could go abreast, or anywhere in between based on how much negative space we want to expose. And of course, we can also change the shape and feel of it really easily, right? We could have it swell up this, and we have, because it's all dirt, we have as much to play with as we want. So we can radically alter the shape very quickly, very easily. Let's make it into a curve. Over there. Right, so it's a little faster and easier to free build when you just have raw dirt. If you're not sure exactly where your road is going to go, maybe we're going to push that up a little bit. Let's do that. I'm often a bit of an organic builder where I kind of build. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, and I have to sort of slide it around the table to see what it feels like till it gets the right feel that is going to support whatever the story I'm trying to tell there is. And then the other really fun thing we can do, because it's negative space, we can take these exact same pieces and we can swap out what's underneath it. So we're going from dirt, we can go right onto water. So I'm going to take that exact same build, boom, and transport it over here. And now our road is turned into a river. So, and if we want, let's do the same trick that we were doing before. We turn this to that. All right, so this was the same build we had before with that straight road, and we can do the same gag. We shorten this right now. It becomes it's a stream. It's a tiny little trickle of a stream, or it's a brook, or it's a river, or we can get really wide, right? We can make it a huge Mississippi River, like as wide as we need to go. So the advantages of negative space is you have a lot of freedom to change what the feel is, right? You could use dismal quagmire, now it's a swamp. You could use acid, now it's this like terrible river of acid. So you can change up whatever you want in there. It'll change the feel. And finally, the last thing we could do using these banks, is, let's say we want to do a little bit of mini elevation. So we're going to take this guy, let's build back here, boom, fill this out. All right, so let's say this was the shore of our lake or our river, something we wanted to have kind of a raised area, something up here. We could take these same banks pieces we've been using, boom, and you just build the banks on top of the other banks, or on top of the floors, any sculpted ground, right? And you can gently transition yourself up to raise it. You can do this again. Maybe if you wanted to gently work your way up to a bridge, or just these 2 floor heights is enough that you could have a little bit of bridge to work with over there. Or maybe you wanted to, maybe this is the edge of a park and you wanted to do that same fountain we were doing before, right? We want to kind of make the fountain feel important. Maybe it's a magic fountain they're looking for or something. So if you raise anything up, it gives it some visual prominence and draws attention to it. So we could put this guy up here, some clouds around it, make it like a special. So just you can do gentle, 1 floor at a time, elevation changes with these banks. So these are the basic techniques. Let's take a look at how it works in a build for an actual encounter. All right, so this is a 2 foot by 1 foot build. The base is a pair of our new dirt road terrain trays. It's the crossroads and the swell left, I believe. The banks it's a collection of 4 packs, but I didn't use nearly all the pieces, so it's not a great example of what kind of coverage you get from them. I was trying to kind of show a bunch of different techniques. So it's the basic builder pack, the straights, the convex, and the swells. So it's those 4 grass bank packs. Oh, and 1 floors pack for a bunch of the 2x2s. The buildings are all from the Tudor Village collection. The dressing is a bunch of our garden scatter, and then the smuggler's wagon, and a couple other little loose bits of scatter. The story here would be a druid approaches the players and with the cry for help. for the last month, there's been just a deluge over their little village. It just hasn't abated. And now the storms are turning violent, and the druid's very nervous, and something is amiss. This is not natural. There's something behind these. Can the players come investigate this storm, this endless rain? What is causing this? What is the malign force behind it? So the players get to the village. It could be an uneventful journey, or you have some whatever you want along the way. You can lay out the village before them. So the idea here is we're trying to create the look of a very quaint, wonderful little village that has now been just drenched in storms. So maybe at the beginning, so the players are going to enter over here. Maybe this sign will be like, welcome to so-and-so village, whatever you want to do, or you can put it in there. And we've dotted a bunch of greenery around to make it look very inviting and peaceful and tranquil and the like. And the banks are really kind of helping sell that look, right? Making the Tudor look, the whole area looks sort of well maintained and like. However, we'll have a nice game mechanic reason for them. So because the rains have been relentless, all the exposed dirt here is just thick mud. So it's difficult terrain. So anywhere that's not up on the grass around the buildings is difficult terrain. So it should add a nice wrinkle into the encounter. So players enter over here and of course see there's a cart stuck in the mud, and it's that wonderful trope, right? The cart in the middle of the road. Is it a trap? Is it someone in need? What's the story here? So in this case, let's say it is there's an orc on there calling for help, or maybe not calling for help, right? She's trying to muscle through it, but it's clearly stuck, right? She's not going anywhere. So it would be wonderfully grateful if the players did decide to help. But of course, once the players get close, the trap is sprung, and maybe she's not involved in it, right? But the suddenly bursting out of buildings from all sides, we have town guard run out. But of course, it's not just the town guard. They've been ensorcelled by the bad guy. Whoever's in charge of creating the storms to cover their ill deeds has also charmed the guard. So we have a couple of archers up on the high ground here. We'll have maybe someone pop out. We could open up this door if we want, and have somebody come out here, or melee, and then if we have somebody pop out of this door, and they can take cover here. Trying to create, there's a lot of areas for cover, right? So there's some cover here, there's some cover behind these bushes, cover behind these bushes. And the idea is we can have a really nice dynamic fight because we have archers in these raised positions here, multi-levels of elevation, the difficult terrain because of the mud, some area to traverse. And of course you could, maybe someone's going to leap off the wagon and climb up to here, or jump off the back of the horses and get there. If we want to ratchet up the difficulty a little bit, we could add somebody else. We could say there's somebody, they crack the windows and the crossbow is shooting from out here. Maybe we could pop out one of these window panes if we wanted and have them shooting here, but I don't think they've got a good line of sight from here. This is probably a better spot from there. And also we could, this is a great opportunity to imperil the NPC, right? We could have, she can get hit with an arrow, start dying, need some healing, cry for help or whatnot. So we could up the stakes as well as give the player something else to deal with. Or maybe the guard are trying to kill her to silence her because she knows too much or something. So now there's sort of another objective besides just killing all the bandits. It could be really fun. It also sort of forces the players out into the difficult terrain. So we have a bunch of ranged attacks, a couple of melees. Could be a fun dynamic fight. Some of the techniques we have going here. So we're just building along here. We're just building in line with the train trays. A little fun gag we did over here is pop this one bank out and put two of the short steps in there leading up to this door. So they look kind of built into the side of the dirt, into the side of the grass. And it kind of helps the whole thing feel like it's grounded in the space. That was a fun little gag. Over here, what we did is I'll pull this off so we can see. So it's actually the crossroads, right? So this is like crossroads train tray. So the road goes four directions, but I just wanted to use it as kind of a curve, but I liked having the sort of open dirt area because it kind of felt more like a town square. So I just really covered it up by putting a bank and a building on it. If we wanted to, we could just like push, if we wanted a little more exposed area or a little more space to fight it. We could push that building back one, take the second half of it off, and then just put one more bank in there, right? So we've sealed off this whole road, right? That whole section's just sealed off by putting banks over it. Now it just looks like it's terminated some banks. So you can use the banks to kind of sculpt the shape of the exposed terrain tray to better suit your needs. So now it looks kind of like a little cul-de-sac area. And once again, neat raised areas for dynamic combat and a lot of difficult terrain to navigate. So should be a fun encounter, a great thing for like a low-level party, and a very simple build to put together. So hopefully this hands-on demonstration will give you an idea of some of the many building possibilities with these new Grass Banks pieces. If you want to learn more about the Grass Banks or any of our cities collection, take a look at the cities playlist linked in the description below. And if you want to dive deeper, hop into our Discord, where we have an amazing community to engage with. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. It really helps our channel. Thank you so much for watching. And now, back to the anvil.